Okay, now we're going to locate the columns on this as we build our framing plan. We've already determined the scale. The scale in this direction is this number, 25.743. The scale in this direction is this number, 25.28. So in this building, what we did, I came to the front of the store and I just took my laser out and measured. I found the first column and measured from the first column, which was somewhere around, the line somewhere around here, measured this direction, and I got 41 foot 3 inches. So I'm going to note here that the dimension from the first column to the wall is 41 foot 3 inches. And I noticed that there was 3 columns in a row, all at that same dimension. I could just eyeball them all at the same dimension. So I know that I need another grid line or a column line located at 41 foot 3 inches from the inside wall to that column line. Now I'm going to physically draw it on the piece of paper while I'm standing here in the store. I don't do it later, I do it right now. So I pull out my trusty scale, and I need to I draw a line on this drawing at that dimension. So here's how I do it. I use my scale, 25.743. So I go 41.25 feet, 41.25, divided by my scale, 25.743, and that equals 1.602 inches. 602 inches. I don't really need to write that number here, but I just do it to sort of make it clear. Sometimes I like to write stuff down right there, especially if I'm tired, just so I don't forget. Now, what I need to do is draw a grid line at 1.602 inches. Now, 1.60 is almost 5/8. It's a little bit less than 5/8. So I'm going to come here at 1 5/8 and a little bit less than that. And I'm going to say I need a line right there. I'm going to show the same thing over here. 1 5/8, a little bit less. Now I'm going to draw a grid line connecting those two dots. So I go dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash. And I'm going to have a whole string of dimensions here. So I'm going to say that is 41 foot 3 inches. I have a line of columns right there. Now, I am physically in the store. I'm standing right over here. I've got my piece of paper on one of their boxes or shelves just writing this. And I look up to the roof and I can see that RTU right there. I can see it on the underside. And I can see that it's on the front side, towards the front of the store of that girder, and it's right on that edge. So now I have a visual verification that, yep, I've got this thing going in the right direction. Okay. So now I measure from this column line to the next column line in a row. And there I come up with a dimension of 42 foot 10 on my laser. I do the same scale, 42 foot 10, which is 42.83, divided by my scale, 25.743, and I get 1.66. Okay. Now I measure from this line and draw another line at 1.66, which is a hair over 1 5/8. It's about a third of the 16th. Now I do this so much that I'm able to do that in my head, and you'll get there too. So a little bit over 1 5/8 right there. A little bit over 1 5/8 right there. So now I'm going to draw another grid line. Dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash, dot, dash. 42 foot 10. I get out my laser, find the next column line, and it's at 39 foot 4. Same math, 39.33 divided by 25.743, and I get 1.52, just a hair over a half. So I do this pretty carefully. A 16th is 0.06 about, so this is a third of the way from a half to 9/16. So I'm not winging it when I do this, believe me. So 1.5, third of the way to 9/16 is there. So now I've got another grid line. I get the next dimension, and this one is going to a wall. There's not actually columns here that are visible because there's a back wall I'd mentioned earlier, a storeroom wall. That's 37 foot 7 inches to the face of that wall. So I do the same measure, the same scale, 37.58 divided by 25.743. I come up with 1.57, which is basically 9/16, a hair over 9/16. So I go at 1 9/16, a hair over. 1 9/16. Now it's a wall. And I'm drawing to the face of the wall. So I'm going to show a dashed line, which is how we indicate a wall below. And I'm going to give it a little bit of thickness here. So it's evidently a wall. And my grid line is coming, in this case, I measured to the face of the wall, 37 foot 7. Then I stand inside that doorway and double check my last thing there, and I got 22 foot 5 inches. I do a little math, I add up all my dimensions here, and I get a double check that that truly is 183 foot 5. And the fact that it all scaled out properly shows me that I'm correct. Now I'm going to basically do the same thing the other direction. And here I have 3 columns, columns in the middle, one on the right, one on the left. Coming from the right, I get 39 foot 1 inches. The next measurement is 39 foot 10 inches. The next measurement is 39 foot 11 inches. Chances are those are actually the exact same numbers, but by the time I do it with a laser, I got off by an inch, but I just write down here what I really got. And then 39 foot 2 inches. Now using this scale, I'm going to draw my grid line going this direction. So 39 foot 1, 39.08 divided by 25.28, 1.545. So it's between 1.5 and 1 9/16, and 2/3 of the way towards 9/16. So here, I'm going to measure from the inside of the wall, 1.5 and 2/3 of the way towards the 9/16. I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to measure 1.5, and I'm actually going to so here, I make sure I'm roughly parallel with that. This is going to be my grid line coming this way. Okay, next one, 39 foot 10, 39.83 divided by 25.28 is 5.53. So it's 1.5, halfway between 1.5 and 1 9/16. So 1.5, 1 9/16, so it's right there. Halfway between 1.5 and 1 9/16, right there. Looks parallel. Okay, 39.11. By the time I do the scale, these are going to be the same. Halfway between 1.5 and 1 9/16, right there. Okay, and this should be a little bit less than that. That looks good to me. So I now have my 3 grid lines. I mark my columns. Very obviously, columns are like the main structural elements, so we're not shy about making it very obvious to everybody where all the columns are. there's a wall. And that's it. The next thing we're going to do is show the joists and girders.